Oh, look at these juicy legs doing L-sit. It's legs, but there's also a lot of other things at play here. I went online and gobbled up a lot of L-sit tutorials. There's heaps. My job is to bring my style to the L-sit, chat to you about what aspects make an L-sit and how to program for that L-sit. There's three things that make up an L-sit. There's the flexibility of your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, ooh, naughty, and then your lower back. And then we look at the strength of the front side of your body, the quads to lock out the leg, the hip flexors to actually lift the leg, and then the abs to crunch. And then we have a look at the upper body strength. It doesn't take much, but we just have to look at the ability to hold our upper body in this spot, don't we, kids? We're gonna start with the flexibility. I'm gonna show you two exercises that we can do. For most people, you will find a limitation in your posterior chain somewhere, and most of us will have that limitation having tight hamstrings, but it's also worthy considering the tightness in your lower back. Luckily, we have an exercise that fits both of those things. It will address it all, the Jefferson curl. So mummy dropped off a kettlebell for me a little bit earlier. All you need is a 5-kilo weight to get started. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be a dumbbell. You might have something heavy enough that you can start with, like a bucket full of water. With this Jefferson curl, what we don't want to confuse is that we're going down and then we're coming back up. But there's details in there that matter. This Jefferson curl involves rounding your back, segment by segment, neck to upper back to mid back to lower back. You might feel a stretch in the calves a little bit with the Jefferson curl, and there are some ways you can modify it to make it a bit more focused on your calves, but we're just gonna go over here and have a look at a simple calf stretch. These bars, I really could use anything here. I'm gonna put one foot back, lock the legs straight, and apply pressure into the bar as I push the heel back into the ground. If that is not feeling like much of a stretch, congrats, calves might not be the issue, but you can intensify the stretch by getting your toe up against the pole, pulling your body towards with a straight leg. I've got a sneaky bonus one. Let's go over here. I listed glutes as part of the potential tight problem for your L-sit. So doing some form of a pigeon stretch, where ideally we have some support under the knee here. Oh, I know what we can do. So I know that my knee is in the right position. Ooh, nice and tall. This is the opposite to Jefferson curl. And I'm gonna hinge forward, pushing my hips back as I keep my chest nice and proud. Come back up. As I go for my next set, we will squirt again. Ooh. Moving on to strength, maybe an underutilized or underappreciated aspect of the L-sit. We think it's all about the flexibility of our hamstrings. We do address a lot in the strength of your hip flexors to be able to lift the leg up, but we also want to look at the strength of our quads and their ability to lock the leg straight. Having a lot of strength to just force that in. So what we're gonna do is a move called squat to stand. Hands flat on the ground. Your heels can be off when you're down in the squat, but when you extend your legs, your feet have to be flat when your legs are fully locked out. Hands have to be flat the whole time. I squat up and lock the legs out. If you go to do this move and you're too tight in the hamstring, your hands lift off the ground. We need to have our hands a bit further away to make this more achievable. As you progress, the hands go closer and closer towards your feet. The other way you can modify this is you can go to a higher surface. So I could keep the hands relatively close to where the feet were in that first example, but on this higher surface, it again doesn't place as much burden. So it's practicing that ability, the quad being the antagonist to the hamstring to help lock the knee out. Onto the hip flexor. Everyone knows what is probably going to be recommended for hip flexor strength. I'm just going to start down on the ground and we do leg lifts. Hands closer to your hips, easier. Hands closer to your feet, more difficult. You can do it as a single leg. You can do it as double leg. Double leg is more demanding, so let's just be simple and stick with the double leg for now, using the hands to adjust the difficulty so you can start closer to your hips and lift the legs up. If that is not doable though, go to the single leg. If this position is not doable, have your hips raised higher than your feet. So you can use a board like this and we're lifting the legs up from here. You're gonna find so many exercises online. Oh my God, my ass. It's 35 degrees here today and my ass just got cooked to medium rare. You're gonna find so many different exercises that are basically the same thing of lifting the leg and training the hip flexor to get stronger, to lift the leg out fully extended. Pick one. And let's quickly address that upper body strength demand. You should be able to hold your body weight in a support position and perform shrugs of sinking down in the shoulders and pushing up. Maybe you would be able to L-sit with your shoulders not fully pushed, but look at the amount of height I gained by going up nice and tall. If you can do that, it'll make the L-sit much more achievable because you're gonna have a lot more clearance. The next thing you wanna do is start to hold this position and increase the demand. So you can start with tucks, pulling the knees up and lowering back down. The next one we can do is we can tuck up, extend the legs and drop them down. Stabilize. Stabilize. I have become a robot. Surrender to me. The last one is gonna be the L-sit. So let's do the goal. No, so this one is gonna be a pike or L lift. So lifting the legs up from straight, lowering back down. You can get wobbly with this. Oh my God, I've done this whole take in support, fuck. Just make sure that when you do these leg lifts, we're nice and controlled. Again, it doesn't matter that you're not hitting the L. It's simply training, stabilizing in your upper body and being able to somewhat replicate the demand that happens as you lift your legs up. Let's talk about the L-sit specifically. So now that we've addressed those three aspects, I think you should attempt L-sit every session you want to focus on L-sit. I don't think it's physically taxing enough that you can overtrain attempting it. And it just keeps reminding the body what you want it to do, and it tells you where you're at. So maybe you did a different version of the glute stretch or a calf stretch and you feel a bit better this time. That's all information that's valuable to knowing what are your weaknesses to address for your L-sit. So when you do test your L-sit, completely flat on the ground, and I go to do my attempt at L-sit, but I don't have any of the strength or flexibility to do that, nothing's gonna happen. There's no value in just being here and beating a dead horse. What we do is we go to a setup that has our hips much higher. This will give us some degree of practice being able to lift the legs up. As you start to get better and more comfortable within this very regressed setup, you can then go to a lower setup. It would also be common to see someone using some yoga blocks or wooden blocks or even books to set your height. Once you have continued to progress to the point where you can be flat on the ground, the principle of progression, we want to continually give ourselves less and less room so it forces us more and more closed. So that is how you police it. Now, how do we program for the L-sit? That's what everyone wants. I would firstly do my flexibility and my strength that I went through today. I would then attempt my L-sit. I would then use the upper body strengthening after I've attempted the L-sit. So it goes flexibility and strength, skill work, and then some upper body conditioning at the end for the skill.